to my channel. Today we're going to be swatching these Ohuhu glitter markers. These have been sitting in my Amazon list for a while. I feel like these came out maybe a year or two ago, and I just never picked them up until recently, but it definitely was something I wanted to get my hands on. I think these are the only Ohuhus I have. My daughter did have a set of Ohuhus before they got super popular, and she did like using them even though she said they turned green. But anyway, we're talking about the glitter markers today. This is a collection of 12 glitter markers. I don't know if they have names actually, so let's take them out and swatch them. But before we swatch them, let's take a look at the actual barrel. I know my thought was that these were bigger. When this came in the mail, I was surprised at how small they are. So it does say Ohuhu glitter marker. It looks like they have to be prepped because I'm seeing a white tip, so I'm assuming they have to be prepped, and I think that's what all of this is saying on the side. But I've got a lot of glare, so I can't see it, but it looks like it's saying you got to prep them, so I will do that before I swatch them. I'm not seeing any color names. It says Ohuhu glitter marker, vibrant color, non-toxic, fine tip, but I am not seeing a color name, so these look like they just are what they are. But let me go prep them and we can swatch them. Hold on. So there is a booklet inside that says how to use. So it says, when using, please shake the pen up and down to make the ink evenly mixed. You need to hear the click noise as you shake. And then it says, press the pen tip down 5 to 8 times, 3 to 5 seconds each time at first use until the ink seeps out. And then draw lines on the paper. When lines are even and smooth, it's ready to go. And then it says, it writes smoothly. When the ink doesn't come out during use, please press the tip again. And then some tips, it says, it does say cover the pen immediately after use so it doesn't dry out. It said if the color does not perform well on a dark surface, you can use a white color first before applying the desired color. This is for people 3 up. And then it says to avoid the problem of ink leakage when shaking. Use up the ink in the pen tip every time without leaving too much ink residue. After use, it's saying wipe off the ink on the pen tip to avoid the ink blocking the ink outlet during the next use. So these look like you gotta play with them. So there's some facts here, and then there's different languages. All right, so again, let me prep them. Okay, so all the markers have been prepped and they're ready to write. They prepped pretty quickly. I shook them maybe 5-10 seconds at the most, pumped them about 6 times, and they were ready to flow. I already have an idea, some opinions I have about them, but let's do the swatches and I'll come back after. that's all 12 colors of the Ohuhu glitter markers. So there's definitely a sheen in these markers. And one thing you may have noticed when looking at the barrels, some of the barrels looked alike. So like these were the two purples, and then there were two blues as well. While the actual pen barrel looks the same, the colors are different. So you don't have to worry about having two of the same color, even two colors that look very similar, because that was one of my concerns when I first got the pack. The critique I'll have is that these are very wet, and part of the reason you saw me going over the swatches is I wanted to see how it lays on top of each other, and you can see that it pills up here and it pilled up here. When I went over it too many times, it would peel up. It does seem to dry quickly, but it does peel up the paper. Like, oh, and the glitter comes off. You can see glitter on my hand. So it does seem to dry quickly, but it does tear up the paper a little bit if you go over the same spot too much. So these are probably not good for coloring, and they're more for lettering or effects for that reason. You can see the moisture through the paper, and this is mixed media paper, so you can see that there's shadowing and moisture on the other side. So another thing to be aware of when I say like they're moist, even though they're drying quickly, they're still moist when they go down on the paper. And I noticed that when I was pumping them to prep them, that they were moist. The other thing I'll say is these tips aren't really made for coloring to me. They're made more for writing. So that's probably the best thing to do with these, is to use them, like I said, for detail work and for lettering. That's probably where they'll look the best, and they won't peel up and ruin your paper. Yeah, I don't think these are for coloring. And they're kind of stiff. That's another thing. They're kind of stiff. Let's see. With me just writing, you're not getting any ghosting or bleed through. So yeah, these are more for writing than I would say for or detail work versus coloring, because of the amount of moisture in them. You would wind up ruining your project. The thing that are funny about these, like from a certain angle, I can't see any glitter. And as I was watching this, I was wondering if any glitter was even coming out. I felt like I needed to shake them. So like even when I'm writing in that green and blue, I don't see the glitter, but maybe from your view you do. So that's something too. I didn't pay a lot for these. I did get them on sale, but I'm kind of underwhelmed. And I know these got really good reviews, which is why they were on my list. So I would say play with them. Like if you're interested in them, play with them. Definitely not for coloring. I would definitely say this is more for lettering. It does look really pretty when I use my cursive handwriting. So that's probably what I would recommend them for, versus any kind of coloring. See, like the sun just came through and you can see that in the camera. So like you can see that glitter and how it shows up, and it looks nice. But yeah, these weren't exactly what I expected. That's the best way to say it. Because like even my swatches are really sparkly in this sunlight right now. And I'm like, ooh, that looks really, really pretty. But I also know that as I was laying down the color, it was pilling up. So like I said, I wouldn't use this for anything that required a lot of back and forth coloring. So I guess that's it. As always, thank you for spending time with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.